Welcome to Book by Book. Today we are diving into a system that honestly promises quite a lot. Liberating your mind from, well, the chaos of the modern to-do list. We're talking about David Allen's landmark book, Getting Things Done, often just called GTD.
That's right. First published back in 2001, revised in 2015, but the core ideas feel more relevant than ever.
Absolutely. If you feel like your brain is just constantly cluttered, a storm of half-remembered tasks, emails piling up, vague commitments floating around.
That nagging feeling that something important is slipping through the cracks.
Exactly. It's exhausting and corrosive, really.
It is.
So today, we're not just summarizing the book chapter by chapter. We want to pull out the core philosophy and, maybe more importantly, the most powerful, actionable techniques Allen developed.
The goal is to get to what he calls stress-free productivity.
Yeah, giving you a clear path back to feeling, well, in control.
And the shift Allen asks us to make, it sounds simple, but it's fundamental. Most of us, maybe without realizing it, treat our brain like a storage closet, just dumping every little commitment, every idea, every task in there.
Okay, let's unpack that. If the brain isn't for storage, what's its job according to GTD?
Your mind is for having ideas, for processing, for being creative, for thinking things through, not for holding on to unprocessed stuff.
Right.
Think about your computer's RAM, right? Your short-term memory works similarly. When you try to use that mental RAM to track, I don't know, a dozen unrelated things like remember milk, schedule the dentist, start that huge report, call mom back. You just overload it, and that creates anxiety, distraction. You can't focus properly.
That constant internal buzzing.
Precisely. Allen argues that this internal nagging actually stops you focusing on what you're supposed to be doing right now. You spend mental energy just trying not to forget.
So the solution?
Build an external system.
Yeah.
Something complete, something outside your head that you absolutely trust to hold everything for you.
That idea of mental RAM overload, that hits home for anyone who's ever woken up at 3 a.m., suddenly remembering a tiny email they forgot to send.
Exactly. And if you trust the external system, your mind can actually quiet down, which leads to this ultimate goal state Allen calls mind like water.
Mind like water.
Yep.
Okay, explain that.
It's a metaphor, right? Imagine throwing a pebble into a calm pond. The water reacts perfectly, just the right size ripple for the pebble. Then it immediately goes back to being calm.
Great.
A person with a well-working GTD system, they're like that water. They respond appropriately to whatever comes their way. Emails, requests, problems without stress, without overreacting or underreacting. They're balanced, responsive, ready for the next thing because their brain isn't bogged down trying to remember everything.
Okay, that sounds, well, aspirational.
Yeah.
But achieving that kind of calm responsiveness, it needs a process, right? A strict one, I gather.
Yes.
So once we buy into this idea of emptying our minds, how does the GTD methodology actually work? You mentioned stages.
It functions through 5 core stages. Think of it like an assembly line for dealing with, well, life's inputs.
All right, stage 1.
Stage 1 is capture. This is the habit, the discipline, really, of collecting absolutely everything that has your attention. Mental clutter, physical clutter, everything.
And putting it where?
Into designated inboxes. These aren't just email inboxes, though. They can be physical trays on your desk, a specific notebook, a voice memo app, a digital task list. The tool doesn't matter as much as the habit.
And when you say everything?
We mean everything. That brilliant idea for a side project you had in the shower, a receipt you need for expenses, a vague worry about your car making a weird noise, a request from your boss, it all gets captured off your mind into an inbox.
Okay.
And honestly, just doing this consistently, the relief can be almost immediate. It's like you're telling your brain, hey, I've got this written down somewhere safe. You can let go now. It stops that nagging background noise. It's really the first step to mental freedom.
Got it. So capture everything. Then what? Once the inboxes are, well, full.
Then comes stage 2. Clarify. This is maybe the most crucial mental step, and honestly where a lot of people stumble.
Clarify. Meaning you process what you captured.
Exactly. You look at each item in your inbox one by one and you make a decision about it. You can't organize stuff until you know what it is and what needs to happen with it, if anything.
Okay, so how do you clarify? Are there specific questions?
Yes. Fundamentally, 3 key questions for each item. First, what is it? Is it a bill, an idea, a reminder, just junk? Second, is it actionable? Does anything actually need to be done about this?
Right. Not everything does.
No. A lot of stuff we capture might just be reference material or something to read later or even trash. But if it is actionable, then the third and really critical question is, what is the very next physical action required to move this forward?
Ah, the next physical action. Let's zoom in on that because
Right.
Alan really emphasizes this, doesn't he? Why is that specific wording so important?
Because vagueness is the enemy of productivity. It breeds procrastination. If you capture something and just write down, say, handle budget.
Yeah. What do you do with that?
Exactly. Your brain looks at handle budget and stalls. It still has to figure out the actual first step. Is it finding the spreadsheet, scheduling a meeting, making a phone call, analyzing numbers? That friction, that extra bit of thinking required, often makes us just skip it and move to something easier.
Okay, so be specific.
Extremely specific. Allen insists on concrete verbs describing a physical action. You don't write handle budget, you write call John to discuss Q3 budget figures.
Or instead of plan vacation.
You write search airline website for flights to Lisbon for August dates. Or maybe even email Sarah to ask for hotel recommendations. It has to be so clear that you, or frankly anyone, could just do it without any further thought.
That makes sense. You do the thinking up front during Clarify.
Precisely. And Allen actually argues something fascinating here. He says this clarifying step, this decision-making, is often the most mentally taxing part of our work. Not the actual doing, but the deciding what to do.
So you make that decision once, clearly, and then executing it later takes way less mental energy.
Exactly. And if an item turns out not to be actionable during Clarify,
What happens then?
you have three choices, basically. Trash it if it's useless, file it away as reference material if it's just info you might need later, or put it on a special list called the Someday Maybe list. This is for things you might want to do, but not now, like learning Spanish or writing a novel. It keeps the idea alive without cluttering up your active system.
Okay, so capture, then clarify, decide what it is, if it's actionable, and the very next physical action. What's stage 3?
Stage 3 is organize. Once you've clarified an item and know the next action, you need to put that reminder in the right place so you trust you'll see it at the right time.
This is where the lists come in, right?
Yeah.
Building that trusted system structure.
That's it. Organization is about creating the different buckets or lists that hold the outputs of your clarify stage. Alan recommends a few core ones. The most important is probably your next actions list, or lists. These are the specific single actions you decided on during clarify.
So like, call John about the budget.
Exactly. Then you have a projects list. A project, in GTD terms, is any outcome that requires more than one action step to complete.
Okay, give an example.
Sure. Let's say launch new company podcast. That's the desired outcome, the project.
Right, needs multiple steps.
Yeah. So launch podcast goes on the projects list, but the next action might be something like research podcast microphones online. That specific action goes on your next actions list.
Got it. So the project list tracks the goal. The next actions list tracks the immediate step.
Correct. You also typically need a waiting for list that's crucial for tracking things you've delegated to others or are waiting on someone else for.
Oh, that's useful. Stops things falling into a black hole.
Definitely.
Hmm.
And finally, your calendar. But Alan is very specific here. The calendar is only for things that absolutely have to happen on a specific day or at a specific time. Appointments, deadlines.
Not just a dumping ground for tasks you hope to do that day.
No, that's what the next actions lists are for. Your calendar should be sacred territory for time-specific commitments. These organized lists ensure everything has a place, nothing gets lost.
Okay, capture, clarify, organize. We've built the system, but like any system, I guess it needs maintenance.
Absolutely. Even the best, most perfectly organized system will fall apart without regular upkeep. And that brings us to stage 4, reflect.
Reflection. What does that look like in GTD?
The cornerstone of reflect, and maybe the single biggest factor in whether GTD sticks long-term, is the weekly review.
The famous weekly review. I've heard about this.
It's critical. Alan stresses you need dedicated, ideally uninterrupted time each week, maybe 60 to 90 minutes, to basically reset and maintain your system.
What do you do during that time?
You gather everything that's accumulated since the last review. You process all your inboxes back to zero. You review your next actions lists, your project list. Are they current? Do any projects need a new next action defined? You look at your waiting for list, anything need nudging, review your calendar, past and future. And you look at your someday maybe list too, just to see if anything needs activating.
60 to 90 minutes every single week. That sounds like, well, another big task.
Hmm.
Doesn't that feel overwhelming for people already trying to get less stressed?
It can seem like a big-time commitment upfront, absolutely. But the return on investment is huge. Alan calls it the psychological reset. Think about it. Skipping the weekly review is like trying to drive across the country without ever looking at your map or checking your fuel or glancing in the mirrors.
Yeah, you'd quickly get lost or run out of gas.
Exactly. You start to lose trust that your system is complete and current. And the second you lose trust in the system, guess what happens?
Your brain takes back the job of trying to remember everything.
Bingo. And all that anxiety comes flooding back. The weekly review is what maintains the trust. It gives you that peace of mind, that confidence that everything is captured, clarified, organized, and under control.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the preventative maintenance.
Precisely.
So system built, system maintained. Now we actually have to do this stuff. This brings us to the final stage.
Stage 5, engage. This is where you actually execute on your actions. But because you've done the clarifying and organizing work, you can engage with confidence and hopefully without stress.
But now the challenge isn't what do I have to do? It's which of these dozens, maybe hundreds of next actions should I do right now? How do you choose?
Right. You don't just randomly pick or do what feels most urgent. Alan provides 3 filters to help you choose the most appropriate action in the moment.
Okay, what are the filters?
First is context. Where are you and what tools do you have available? Are you at your computer at computer list? Out running errands at errands list? Do you need to make calls at calls list? Your context limits your choices.
So you only look at the actions relevant to where you are. Makes sense.
Second filter, time available. How much time do you actually have right now? Just 5 minutes before a meeting? Or a solid 2-hour block? Choose an action that fits the time slot.
And the third?
Energy available. Let's be honest, sometimes you're sharp and ready for deep creative work, other times, not so much.
Yeah, like late Friday afternoon.
Exactly. So match the task to your mental energy. Are you up for tackling that complex proposal, or is now a better time for processing some simple emails or filing papers?
So context, time, energy.
Yeah.
Using those filters lets you move away from just reacting to whatever screams loudest.
And towards making intentional choices about how you use your resources. You pick the task that makes the most sense now.
Now, within this engage phase, there's one specific technique, a kind of hack, that GTD is maybe most famous for.
Ah, you must mean the 2-minute rule.
That's the one. Tell us about it.
It's incredibly simple but powerful. The rule is, if a new task appears, or if you identify a next action during clarify, and you estimate it will take less than 2 minutes to complete,
Yes.
do it right then and there, immediately. Don't put it into the system. Don't write it down on a list. Just do it.
Why is that so effective?
Because it drastically reduces friction and mental clutter.
Hmm.
Think about those tiny tasks. Replying to a quick email, putting a dish in the dishwasher, filing a single document, confirming an appointment.
Yeah, they seem trivial.
They are, individually. But if you let them pile up, if you have to capture, clarify, organize, reflect on, and then engage with dozens of tiny 2-minute tasks, it actually takes more time and energy than just doing them immediately. The 2-minute rule prevents these small things from ever becoming mental baggage. It builds momentum and keeps your system cleaner.
Okay, that's a really practical takeaway. Now, potential criticism. A lot of this sounds like getting really, really good at managing the small stuff, the emails, the calls, the errands. How does GTD stop you from just becoming a highly efficient task manager who's maybe missing the bigger picture, like your life goals?
That's a great question, and Alan addresses it directly with something called the horizons of focus.
Horizons of focus.
Yeah, think of it like different altitudes of perspective on your life and work. GTD isn't just about the ground level, the daily next actions. It scales up. He outlines typically 5 or 6 levels. Ground level is your current next actions list. Horizon 1 is your current project list. Horizon 2 is your areas of focus and accountability roles like parent, manager, health. Horizon 3 is your 1-2-year goals. Horizon 4 is your longer-term vision, maybe 3-5 years out. And Horizon 5 is your ultimate purpose, principles, and life goals, the big why.
Oh, okay. So it connects the weeds to the sky, basically.
Exactly. By regularly reviewing not just your tasks and projects like in the weekly review, but also these higher horizons periodically, you ensure alignment. You make sure the tiny next action you choose to engage with right now is actually contributing, even in a small way, to the bigger picture you've defined for yourself.
So it prevents you from just efficiently rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, so to speak.
Well put. It ensures your efficiency is directed towards meaningful outcomes. It turns GTD from just task management into a system for intentional living.
That really elevates the whole thing. Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. Let's try to boil it down. For someone listening, what are the absolute key lessons, the actionable takeaways they can start applying today from getting things done?
All right, let's recap. First, and maybe most crucial, empty your mind daily. Get every commitment, idea, task, worry out of your head and into a trusted capture tool. Don't rely on memory.
Second, when you process those captured items, define the specific next physical action. No vague tasks. Use clear, concrete verbs. What's the very next thing someone needs to do?
Third, use that 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes when you first encounter it, or clarify it, just do it immediately. Don't let small things become mental clutter.
Fourth, really master that clarify step. Making the decision upfront about what something is and what needs to happen saves huge amounts of mental energy down the line. Eliminate that decision fatigue later.
Fifth, you absolutely must commit to the weekly review. It sounds like a chore, but it's the essential reset. It maintains trust in your system, prevents overwhelm, and keeps you aligned. Don't skip it.
And finally, remember the goal state. Aim for mind like water. Calm, responsive, clear. That stated control allows you to focus your best energy where it truly matters.
And remember, the ultimate promise here, the real point of GTD, isn't about becoming some kind of productivity machine, cranking out more tasks per hour. It's about becoming freer. Freer from stress, freer from the constant nagging worry, freer to actually focus on the things that give life meaning, creativity, relationships, personal growth, because you know all the other stuff is handled.
That's a powerful way to frame it.
Yeah, and as Alan himself often says, something like, your ability to generate power is directly proportional to your ability to relax. That deep relaxation, that confidence, it comes from fully trusting your system.
A fantastic thought to end on. Trust the system. Free the mind. If you found this summary of getting things done helpful and you're looking to get a better handle on your own commitments and maybe find some of that stress-free productivity, please do subscribe to our channel, Book by Book, for more helpful book summaries like this one. Please also share it with others who might benefit and give it a like. It really motivates us to keep finding and summarizing the best books out there for you. Thanks for listening.